Okay, we are here and ready. Are you
Hey,
ready?
we ready. We ready. Welcome to Detroit Black and White. We're here this morning with the Deputy Mayor, Todd Bettison. We're also here with the famous Allan Lengel. As you guys can see, we have somebody missing, Adolph Mongo. He's out traveling, but we're going to hold down the fort. If you are watching Detroit Black and White, what we want you to do is like, like, subscribe, and share. You can find us on all platforms as well as all podcast platforms. Okay, I guess
All
we're gonna
right.
get started. We have a jam-packed show today. We have one, two, three guests. Because this is
We
a co-host. This
we've
is our
got
monthly
co-hosts. Yeah,
co-host.
we've got
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
one of the guests. I'm excited. We've done interviews with him and video interviews. Is Kevin McDonald, aka Kmack. He has been a cab driver in the city of Detroit for decades, and now he's doing like independent driving there. But he's going to talk about the cab industry here in Detroit, which is always sort of a mystery, and then how it's been impacted by Lyft and Uber. And I'm always fascinated to see how that's going. We're seeing in other cities. I was telling Todd before the show started, when I was in D.C., there's some neighborhoods now where you don't see any cabs anymore, which you see all the time. Uber and Lyft. A lot of the cab drivers have become Uber and Lyft drivers. They don't have to pay for a license. It's a whole different game. They're totally independent drivers, and so I mean it's good. I mean, to me, I came back from DC in 2011, and I think Uber and Lyft has made Detroit a bigger city, like a big city where you can essentially grab a cab anytime.
Yeah, I love my cab drivers. I do ride share, but of course, when I see a cab and around, I definitely try to support them as well because, that used to be, we with our age and stuff like that,
I agree. I agree. My uncle, God rest his soul,
Yes.
um, he had polio, so he was paralyzed on his left side. But he took care of his family by being a cab driver. He drove a cab for 40 years.
Wow.
And so, like you, if I prefer to take a cab as opposed to Lyft or Uber. Where was I? I was out of town. I want to say, I don't know where I was this past year. I've traveled several places, but I was in Florida, and I met a guy, and he was a Lyft and cab driver.
Okay,
He did
okay.
both. He did both.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
So yeah,
A
he
lot of
did
them do
both.
that.
But
Yeah.
like you, I prefer the cab, but I understand and respect the independence of it all.
I mean, I think the interesting thing is when I was in DC one day, I was going to take a Uber to the airport, and it was really like 5:30 in the morning when there's not that many out on the road. And initially, it was $100, which is normally it's like a $25 ride. And so I waited 5 minutes, and it went down to $40. I waited again, it went down again. So those surging prices, time if you're downtown and the game is letting out,
Right.
a concert's letting out suddenly, or it's the end of the bar night, the prices surge.
Yeah, I got some cab drivers that are friends of mine. I want to give a shout out to Brother Cunningham, who's always out there, and he keeps his prices affordable. And I mean, he even takes alternative forms of currency.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what?
So, well, I mean, he'll take an EBT card. I don't think I'm supposed
Oh,
to be
really?
saying that,
Right.
but what he will do is he's making sure that he moves Detroiters.
Right.
And so if somebody's having a hard time, Brother Cunningham will
Oh, cool.
definitely pick you up. And then
Very cool.
a shout out to Kmack too. So they still support you all.
Are
That's
people
awesome.
taking I don't understand Bitcoin still to this day, but I know some stores are taking Bitcoin, and I have no idea about
I
Bitcoin.
have no idea that's foreign language. But are we going to do the outrage of the week?
All right.
Are we going to do?
Yeah,
Who we going to
absolutely.
start with?
Let's start with you, the queen. Ladies first. What are you outraged
Ladies
about?
first. I'm really outraged, and I don't know if it's outraged, upset, disappointed. Eric Adams, New York City, mayor, indictment. Come on. And then you have all this drama about, you have people saying, and we need to stop this. Attacking the Democratic Party, saying it's the Democratic Party going after, people.
Yeah.
And if it was the reverse, they would be saying the same. We got to stop this. But I'm really outraged that this this happened. It's terrible, and the timing of it all is really terrible. But you talk about outrage, you talk about bribery, and I hate to say this, but I'm like
Contributions from a foreign country.
Exactly. This happened like within 10 days of the other indictment of the big guy in New York, which is Sean Combs, who pop culture loved this guy. This is outrageous. It's outrageous. It's disappointing. It's sad.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody is, according to the United States Constitution, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
But listen, I always say, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not saying you guilty of everything or guilty of what they said, but there's something going on, and it's really, really sad. What's sad about it is this guy is an elected official.
Yes.
People don't have confidence in elected officials. And here we go, another poster child.
I want to piggyback on your outrage there. I've gotten to know Kwame since he's gotten out of prison, and I like Kwame, but and I posted something on Deadline Detroit about him saying another feds again going after another black mayor, and without knowing the facts, and from what I've seen, one of the more damaging things in there is that there's details the cover up of some of these things where he was telling people, erase your tax and this and that, and so just to automatically attack and say, feds going after another black Democratic mayor. I mean, we just had Senator Menendez, who's a white Hispanic man, convicted. The guy got off. I mean, so shamefully, the guy got off in 2017 on a hung jury.
Right.
The next year, he's back at it with corruption, and he gets convicted. And he was trying to say, "Oh, you're coming after the Hispanics," all that kind of stuff. And it's really embarrassing. His daughter is Menendez. I'm trying to remember, on MSNBC. She has a show on the weekends.
Yeah, right.
His son is a congressman. It's embarrassing to the family. I mean, the guy, greed. It's like, it's like if you're an alcoholic, don't get a job at a bar.
Right.
If people say, who have weight issues, they'll say, my trigger point is free food. So don't, but if you don't have the control over, your greed, if you think greed is going to be a problem for you, well, stay out of public office.
I just, again, public officials, public officials take a bad rap, and this is not good at all. And this guy was like, the story, he was a juvenile delinquent. He was in a gang. He has ADHD. I think he's dyslexic. He made it through. He got to college.
He's a vegetarian.
He became a police officer.
Captain,
and then you move up the chain. And listen, but he did have gang affiliation when he was younger. The point of the matter is this, for me, is that his story was one of those stories of, look, he made it through. He was resilient. Even with all the obstacles, he made it. He's the mayor of New York City. And now there's an indictment. And did you see the 92-year-old lady he had standing out there in the press conference?
But I had an opportunity to meet Eric Adams.
Kmack is here.
Yeah. I had an opportunity to meet him a couple months ago, and I was at a conference in New York and of mayors.
Right.
And one of the things I can say is that, how somebody can walk in the room and they got that charismatic presence. He had that. No, but I was trying to compete, but his was way more amplified. I let him know I'm the deputy mayor from Detroit, and so but to your point, it's just a sad day because I'm in the political arena, and the thing about it, so many of our constituents, our residents, they think that all politicians are corrupt. Like, no, I've had people say, "Hey, deputy mayor, I want to learn how to get in the game. I want to play the game. How can I be, on the team and play the game?" I'm like, I don't use the word play. I'm like, this is serious business.
Right.
I'm not meeting you for lunch. Come to the office, present your proposal, and everything that we do is above board.
Right,
It's a
right.
competitive process.
Right.
So, you know, and when you have this type, as you say, smoke, it just reinforces that people in elected positions are corrupt. So it brings everybody down. But it's allegations, it's due process, and we'll just have to see how it plays out. I wish him the best of luck for all of our sake, because we do not need, you know, another scandal like this, because it's not just about New York. This affects all of us across the whole United States.
Yes.
And I tell you something else, the world is watching.
Absolutely.
And so we're talking about diplomats in other countries. They like, this is how you do business in the United States as a mayor.
Right. So we're gonna go to you. What is your outrage?
Well, after you got that outrage out, you done changed my outrage. My stuff is, I guess we've had such a joyous, and when I say like sunny September, and basically no rain. I mean, it's been dry, but it's been a beautiful September. And so when I woke up this morning and looked outside, it's a gray sky, it's a little rain. But I'll tell you this much: some folks will say it's liquid sunshine, but I hadn't had 2 cups of coffee to get up today. I mean, I was like, okay, you know, it's just one of those gloomy days, but I guess folks can get a little rest.
Right.
I don't have a real serious outrage, but going back to Eric Adams, that right there really kind of gets under my skin.
Yeah, it's
embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, you know, like I said, he's innocent until proven guilty, but it just puts a stain on everyone who runs or is in public office.
Yes.
And it's really unfortunate. The reality is this, though. You always have bad apples. You got bad lawyers, bad doctors, bad mayors, bad police officers, bad firemen, bad whatever.
It's a people
it's a people thing. So the fact that people are placing it on one party or the other, that is ridiculous.
I agree.
Right. There's corruption doesn't have any bounds in terms of parties and stuff like
not
that.
at all.
I agree. And, you know, it's interesting. I mean, the Republicans are all screaming, oh, look at Donald Trump. I mean, you know, they're only going after Republicans. I mean, they've gone after Democrats too. And it's ridiculous. And that undermines really the confidence, as we've seen, undermining the confidence in our elections, when we've had, you know, Donald Trump to this day still talking about the election being rigged.
That's a setup.
Give it up.
For
You lost.
November the 5th.
You lost, man.
To me, that's a setup for November the 5th. Whatever happens on November the 5th, to me, he's setting the groundwork for November the 5th.
Okay, we got Carl Marlinga on, but why don't we go to a commercial break and then we'll bring Carl in.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Moss. I have over 4,000 signatures that say I should sit on the bench at 36th District Court. But the bureaucrats had me kicked off the ballot because they don't want you to elect someone who stands for fair and equal justice. And as a defense attorney, I've experienced injustice firsthand. Join the movement. Write in Vanessa Moss. Write in Vanessa Moss for 36th District Court. Remember, Vanessa Moss.
This is Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat running for the U.S. Senate. I want to share a story about who, more than anyone, taught me the importance of listening and accountability. It was President Barack Obama. I served in the White House on his national security staff. I got to see him in action, up close, and behind closed doors in the Oval Office. First, he was brilliant, and therefore demanded people really knew their stuff. It was President Obama who grilled me on issues and demanded accountability on what we said and did. That commitment to accountability is exactly the approach I use today, listening to our communities. It's why I've written an opportunity agenda with detailed plans to strengthen Black businesses, increase Black wealth, and provide real opportunities for our youth. Because, as President Obama taught me, you better say what you mean and mean what you say. So that's why I approved this measure.
Neighborhood beautification. That's very important to Detroit. It's very important to block clubs, organizations, and people who live in the community. We got started with 2 lots and a vision of a treehouse center. Because if we can take these blighted lots, Detroit give us grants to be able to do something with them that the community wants, it's a plus because we're bringing our neighborhoods back to where we want them to be, where they should be. All because I live in Detroit.
And we're back to Detroit Black and White. Again, if you're watching, we want you to like, subscribe, and share. We want to welcome a guest. Well, he's really not a guest because he comes on quite often. Our next congressman for Macomb County, Carl Marlinga. Welcome.
Great. And don't forget the little bit of vote for the Rochester and Rochester Hills for part of the district also. But thank you for remembering. Thank you.
Yep. So what's going on, Carl?
I was going to have a debate with John James. Got a call from a group. It's a conservative group. That was his handpicked group. So we had one in 2022, and it was set for October 27th. Then it was revealed that Mr. James made a number of and that complaint was filed against him. The transactions themselves are not illegal, but it's supposed to report stock transactions within 45 days if you're a member of Congress, so that the public can have total transparency to see what you're doing, what you're buying, what you're trading. Maybe try to figure out what kind of inside knowledge you might have had about it. As a matter of fact, the law that requires it is called the Stop Trading on Insider Knowledge Act, the Stock Act. So anyway, it's not an overly onerous law. Again, it doesn't prohibit a congressperson from trading on inside information, which is crazy, by the way. I think that should be prohibited. It simply means,
I agree.
it simply means that you got to report. Well, he was late. One was about 8 months late, 252 days. And so by the time the transaction gets reported, it's hard to kind of relate it back to what the news was, what the Congress might have been considering at the time. Now, he says that it's in a blind trust. Well, actually, he didn't say a blind trust. He said it's sort of a blind trust, meaning, well, you either are or are not in control or have information. But even in a blind trust, the obligation is still absolute that you got to report it. Well, he didn't do it. So the End Citizens United group filed a complaint against him. And then the day after that, he canceled our debate in October. And by the way, we were trying to we're trying to set up other debates with Devin Skillian, Channel 4, maybe with Channel 7, maybe with you guys, maybe with the WJR. And he just says, nope, he's not going to do it. Now, we're still going to pressure him to debate, but it seems pretty obvious to me that this is a guy who doesn't want to be questioned about anything.
Yeah.
And I guess, a part of it is he's got some despicable, ludicrous, false ads running. Like he's got one against Kamala Harris and myself saying that we want to keep information from parents about their children and the medications they receive. That comes out of absolutely nowhere. It is nuts. There's no group that
ads. I've seen some of those ads, and there's some other with you and grouping you with Kamala Harris, and you're going to destroy jobs in Michigan. I guess my question is, you last time did not have much of a backing from the Democratic Party. I saw the other day that you finally had an ad. Are you going to be getting a backing this time financially from the Dems?
No. The party is all in. The Democratic House Majority PAC. It's about $8 million that they're putting up on TV. I've been able to raise substantially more. I'm over $2 million now, and I'll be able to put on a substantial TV advertising campaign. And there are other independent groups. We are going to get the truth out there. Except remember that John James and the far-right Republicans live in this atmosphere where if they can just put out enough lies, they will make people doubt anything and everything. And when people are confused, they tend not to vote. So it's really a voter suppression tactic. Is to put out more misinformation, disinformation, outright lies. And that's why a person who does that wants to avoid debates. Because in a debate, your challenger gets to ask you questions. The audience can see whether you answer them. The person like me can cite chapter and verse of where Mr. James is wrong. And he's totally accepted.
They're cheering for you.
It's a soccer game.
But Carl, that goes to go back to the debate. People are always talking about people who are engaged in politics about accountability. It seems to me that this is the forum where you will be accountable to those people who you answer to, who vote for you, who support you. So to me, this will be a golden opportunity to hold him accountable for the things he's done and the things that he has not done. The fact that you're avoiding doing it, for me as a voter, would cause me to pause. If I was a supporter, I would pause like, what's up, dog? Why aren't you debating?
Yeah. If you're willing to just get people to stand for telling what you believe, answer questions, answer challenges, explain yourself. If you don't have the courage or the honesty to do that, you really don't belong in public office.
And Carl, do you see abortion as being an issue?
Oh, of course, yes. The reason it is that, 2 years ago, we fought very hard in the state to have a reproductive freedom act so that basically you get government out of the private lives of people, private lives of women. It's your body. The government really shouldn't be controlling it. So Michigan is now a safe haven for people to get medical care. No questions asked. You don't have to answer to a prosecutor or a police detective or a judge. You just talk to your physician and you make your own decisions. That's the way it should be. But nationwide now with the Project 2025 groups and with Mike Johnson as the Speaker of the House, a guy that John James supports, you have their agenda to have nationwide abortion ban. Now you get Trump arguing, well, I'm not really for it this time. Look, if you have a majority in the House of Representatives that are going to give you a nationwide abortion ban, you as a president that ran on getting rid of Roe versus Wade are obviously going to be signing that. But what I don't want to get into presidential politics. To answer your question, yes, it's on the ballot because with the threat of a nationwide abortion ban, in order to protect what we did at the polls, what we voted on in Michigan in 2022, now we're going to have to go to the ballot box and vote again to make sure that Kamala Harris is the president. Otherwise, if we have a far right-wing majority in the House and the Senate and the president, abortion is definitely on the ballot. Suddenly, everything that we fought for is going to be taken away. And so, yeah, it's definitely on the ballot. And Republican women know this, and independent women, well, and right-thinking men know this, Republican or Democrat, it doesn't matter. Government doesn't belong in our private lives, making our medical decisions. It's just too personal, it's too private. And there are plenty of people who understand that. But what they don't understand is that an election of the far-right conservative people like John James, like Donald Trump, like Rogers in the Senate race, if that happens, then suddenly you're going to wake up and find that what you thought was free right to do what you want is now taken away.
Would you like to see Roe versus Wade come back again?
Well, yeah, I think we have the power and the duty to legislate to make it the nationwide standard, because we can't just be satisfied with having a safe haven in Michigan. We have our sisters throughout a lot of states in which you face restrictions on in vitro fertilization, the IVF. You face restrictions on abortion. This is one country. We can't leave those people behind and say, well, it's okay. If you're, living down in Texas, you can travel to Michigan. It's not that easy. And so let's make this a right. But I gotta add this. Look, I'm a judge, and so I look at constitutional history. When the Constitution was written, we had the Ninth Amendment saying that not all rights are enumerated, but other rights that the people retain. At the time, abortion was not a crime at common law. And so therefore, if you go to this group of 6 conservatives on the Supreme Court who talked about the importance of history and the historical setting of things, they've come up with a decision in the Dobbs decision that not only reverses Roe versus Wade, but even the rationale for saying, well, let's look at history. They don't know history. They are probably C- law students, but they are F- history students. They don't know what they're talking about. But the point is, let's get away from the academic stuff. We face a challenge in this country through the fundamental concept that we need personal freedom, we should make our own medical choices, and the courts and judges and prosecutors and police detectives have no business in it.
Todd, did you have a question?
I just wanted to emphasize the statement, Mr. Marlinga. I'm Todd Bettison, Deputy Mayor, City of Detroit. But you said something that was so key, and just the amount of negative campaign ads with the misinformation to confuse individuals, and ultimately it leads to suppression of the vote because, as you know, confused folks typically just throw their hands up and say and do nothing, and like, I don't want to be a part of the process. So I think it's so important that, you know, for the listeners, the constituents, to really understand the tactics that are being used. But the question is, like, why would somebody just put all these untruths out there? So I just really like the fact that you highlighted that is really voter suppression.
Yeah, and you know, I thought about this. Why would Donald Trump, after he got elected in 2016, why would he lie about something so obvious as the size of the crowds at his inauguration?
Well, you know why? Because in the words of Cat Williams, because liars lie.
Well,
that's what they do. Liars lie.
But it's part of a pattern of making sure that nobody is certain what to believe. And so it is all a part of voter suppression. You say the most untrue things, you say with confidence, and then when people find out the truth, they wonder which is which, and it leads to voter suppression. You are absolutely right. That's the ultimate tactic that's going on here.
Well, there's another thing. I was saying Donald Trump yesterday, a lot of scare tactics, trying to freak people out. And the thing, one of the ads that really drives me crazy is there's a guy, Don Rosenberg, out of San Francisco, and he says, "My name's Don Rosenberg. My son was killed by an illegal immigrant who Kamala Harris let out." And the truth of the matter is, and I listened to a 2011 interview with him on Fox where he admits he was legal immigrant. He had protected status, one. And what happened was he was arrested for driving without a license. He paid the fine and was let go. And then he hit this guy's son, which is horrific. He hit the son on the son was on a motorcycle. And then he tried to get away and he ran his son over again. I mean, it's horrific. He served limited time, like 43 days for that. But the story is not, I mean, if you watch that ad, you think like, oh my God, Kamala Harris let off this guy who just got charged with murder and then he went out and murdered his son. And it's not the case. And the ads are just so deceptive. And so when I see some of the John James ads, like painting you and Kamala Harris are going to destroy jobs and all these other things, I'm like, where is that coming from? It's just not.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you, but so just if you're explaining this, notice it takes only about like 10 seconds to make the false allegation. It takes a full minute or more to explain what the truth is. And that's what these disinformation, dishonest campaigns rely on, is that they will make a false charge knowing that it takes so much longer to refute it. And then even after you're done, people are still in the middle because they're not going to go back and read the original documents and figure out what happened. Going back to the point that it's to create, Vanessa, you're right, liars lie. But secondly, there's a purpose in this, and that's to create confusion. And in confusion, the people either stay home or they vote for the, quote, the strong man. The person who, they give up rational thinking. Well, I'll just vote for the guy that looks the strongest and put my faith in him.
I hate to cut you off, but we have a couple of more guests. We're going to wrap up, but you're welcome to come back to the show. Hopefully you'll be back on before November the 5th. God bless you. Keep it going.
Okay, thank you. If you're running for office, you should get out there, tell the truth, and debate, and subject yourself to questions. Thank you. Okay.
All right, thanks. We're going to do some commercials, and we're going to bring on Kmack.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Moss. I have over 4,000 signatures that say I should sit on the bench in 36th District Court. But the bureaucrats had me kicked off the ballot because they don't want you to elect someone who stands for fair and equal justice. And as a defense attorney, I've experienced injustice firsthand. Join the movement. Ryan Vanessa Moss. Write-in Vanessa Moss for 36th District Court. Remember Vanessa Moss.
This is Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat running for the U.S. Senate. I want to share a story about who, more than anyone, taught me the importance of listening and accountability. It was President Barack Obama. I served in the White House on his national security staff. I got to see him in action, up close, and behind closed doors in the Oval Office. First, he was brilliant, and therefore demanded people really knew their stuff. It was President Obama who grilled me on issues and demanded accountability on what we said and did. That commitment to accountability is exactly the approach I use today, listening to our communities. It's why I've written an opportunity agenda with detailed plans to strengthen Black businesses, increase Black wealth, and provide real opportunities for our youth. Because, as President Obama taught me, you better say what you mean and mean what you say. So that's why
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Okay, welcome here, and we've got another segment here. We've got Kevin McDonald, also known as Kmack. The man has driven a cab for decades here in the city, and now he's doing some private driving. Is that correct? Tell us about how long did you drive a cab for?
44 years in Detroit.
44 years. All right, let's make sure we catch you here.
44 years.
44 years. Wow. And tell us what's changed. What have you seen? Obviously, we've got Uber, we've got Lyft. How did that start to? When did that first start to impact you, and how has it impacted the industry?
Well, I believe I think it was like 2013. I think it was Uber came out first. Actually, it was Swift. Then it was Uber. Then it was Lyft. By that time, the cab business just went down haywire because the lease is high. The lease of cab is like $100 a day. Who check a cab? Other cab companies is basically almost the same. So drivers really couldn't really make that money out here because Uber and Lyft kind of took over.
So you had to pay $100. So just to break even, you had to make $100 just to break even.
But actually, you had to make $200 or $300 to break even. You're talking about gas. You're talking about miscellaneous, lunch, whatever. And then the lease to the owner who owns the cab. And then whatever you make over it, that would be your income.
Okay. And tell me what's happening with the cab industry. I mean, I can't step out on the street and flag a cab these days. Where are the cab drivers?
Most of the cab drivers are downtown right now doing the casinos and the hotels because in the city, it's kind of like deserted right now. Yeah. And right now, if you call a cab, like check a cab right now, it'll be hours before you get cabs.
What?
I spoke to somebody yesterday because the call log is so big. You know, check a cab gets like 10,000 calls a day.
Oh, wow.
No.
So there's 10, still a demand.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, when I was doing it, you know, we had like 600 drivers, almost 1,200 drivers. Right now, I believe it could be about maybe 50 drivers throughout the whole citywide. That's families and doing calls off the call logs and either Metropolitan Cab and Highland Park.
Yeah.
You got City Cab. You only got like 3 or 4 cabs for City. And then you got Checker Cab. Should have like 56 cabs right now. And most of them are owners. Actually, all the Checker Cabs out there are owners.
When you say owners,
that means they own their cab.
Yeah, they're owners.
Okay.
There's no,
and do they pay Checker some percentage, or
the
how does that
Checker
work?
charge you dues. You have monthly dues, you have insurance dues, and I think you have affiliation dues. And it can roughly be about $600 a month.
This is fascinating. So who's catching cabs now? The demographics of the customers, like who?
People going to work, people going to casino most likely.
Leaving the casino.
And the
going
home and
hotels.
getting money, because most people don't have money. When they spend all their money, they want to go home and get the money because they can't get money to go home. So,
right.
And then their phone might be dead and they can't get an Uber or Lyft. So now here it is, you got to get cash.
You guys still take cash too, right?
Cash App, Zelle, they doing a lot of that now.
But are you doing actual cash exchanges?
Yeah, they're still doing cash. A lot of people like to do cash. Most of the cab drivers are kind of like high-slacking, more like, say you ride a $20 ride, they might charge you 50 or 100. That's what it is downtown. Downtown is the gold mine in Detroit.
And why would I, as a cab driver, why wouldn't I just do Lyft, where you don't pay any like dues or anything, but you give a cut of your fare to Lyft? What's the advantage of driving a cab or doing Lyft?
Lyft, I'm not going to talk about the company job because the competition, right. But I believe that Lyft is more like a minimum wage job because after you pay all your maintenance on your car, right? Your gas, your insurance, it all boils down to about $5,000 or $6,000. Wow. I did Lyft, and I had a MKS.
How long did you do it for?
2 years. I had an MKS Lincoln, black model. I had the high-end model. I would never get those good calls, but I always would get calls like 10 miles away, 5 miles away, and you have to take these calls when you live in Uber, because if you're on the app and you deny it, they can they're kind of like punch you sometimes.
Prioritize you, or
they'll get you like later on saying, "Well, you're not taking enough calls, so we're going to have to deactivate your account."
So it sounds like the cab drivers that are active and working in the city of Detroit, in particularly downtown, they're making a pretty good living because now they're independent. They don't have to pay that $100 lease and all that. So the money that they bring in is their money.
Well, I'm not going to tell on everybody, but everybody's cutting all of insurance, the dues to lower.
Man, I need to
state.
become a cab driver.
No, because you got to remember now, you got to have commercial insurance. That's $1 million policy. If you don't have that, you cannot be registered as a taxi. But it's a lot of cabs down there that's registered, well, not registered, but they're down there, doing functions downtown every day. The Lions, the Tigers, the Red Wings, concerts. I mean, you name it. These guys are lined up out there, and the police are just really good. Something else now.
What's the answer? I mean, do we need to build up the cab industry, or do we let it die out, or what's the answer here?
I gave the state Laura an investigation 2 years ago. They took a 2-year investigation. I was right. I ended up selling my cabs. I ended up selling my cabs, but they did the investigation, then they stopped. I did get a hold to the mayor of Detroit. I got a hold to a lot of people. They were getting involved. Sylvia Santana, everybody was getting involved.
And what was going on? Explain. So
illegal cabs operating in Detroit. The insurance was too high. Commercial insurance right now I was paying $5,000 per vehicle. Now it's $33,000 per vehicle.
Wow.
Yes.
So people are going without.
They're going without it.
They're going without it.
I guarantee you can take an officer of state police and go to every cab stand, motel, or anywhere downtown and pull over a cab, and I bet you won't have his credentials.
You won't have insurance.
That's something else. Like you spilling all the tea right now. So I'm calling the chief. I'm gonna let him know.
So will that person have any kind of insurance on the car, or they just want to have the proper insurance?
Well, I do know for a fact that it is an owner. He's how can I say, it's a trucking company, and he owns a few cabs, and most of the guys over in Hamtramck, you know who I'm talking about. Those guys that live in Hamtramck, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Anybody know what I'm talking about? The guys that live in Hamtramck.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Foreign
I
guys,
can't agree.
the foreign guys, the Reverend, those guys, they're hooked up with this guy, and they pay like $400 a month to him just to get commercial insurance, which I still say it's illegal. But Laura has not acknowledged.
Why is it illegal to get if they're paying $400 for insurance a month?
Because they're paying someone else for group insurance instead of being an owner.
They're all on one policy.
Yeah, so they're not registered with Laura. You get what I'm saying? State, you have to register with Laura in order to operate as a commercial vehicle. Okay. To have that $1 million.
Because $400 a month is I pay more. Yeah. Well, I take it back. I don't pay more than $400. I pay whatever, $200 and something. But for a commercial vehicle, they should be paying. What should they be paying a month normally?
Well, it always was $5,500 a year for many years. But after the pandemic,
that's crazy.
They looked at the pandemic, and then most of the insurance companies, I'm not gonna say where, West Warren and 16,000 West Warren. Everybody know her.
He said, I'm not going to say where,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's the address.
Because she's the only one in Detroit that actually controls the commercial insurance. Besides Southfield, and both of them are up there at 33,000.
And so, what are you doing now in terms of?
Well, right now I actually I'm still Kmack Transportation LLC, but I'm also Kmack GMC with I'm a tour now. I rent out my car.
You rent out
the same way like cabs.
And then when you say, so can I call you and say, hey, I want to go to the airport?
I mean, privately, yeah, you can probably call me and say, yeah, I want to go to the airport. I will be a flat rate, but the thing is, I will not charge you as much as what a cab rate would be. I will lower the rate just because it's more like a jitney now. You know, everybody's more like jitney.
I remember the jitney.
Oh yeah, jitney. I mean, this has been going on since 1901.
Absolutely.
You know, there's been a war with jitneys and cabs from 1901. I looked up, I researched, and found out that the president and the governors, they were all going against the jitneys, but the jitneys will win. So the underdog will always win. The guy's paying all the insurance and the dues and fees, he's just work a regular job, you know, go out there and make a little money. But the guy that doesn't do that, he's still making money.
Yeah. Tell us, you met your wife giving her a ride, right?
Yeah.
On a birth, she was celebrating her birthday with her mother.
1996.
Tell us that story.
Oh, wow. Well, anybody know that was a 6 Mile in Wyoming that used to be a hamburger place.
Yep.
Green.
Yeah.
And I used to always play the pinball machine right there and stay overnight. So it was about 1 or 2 o'clock. So I get a call off the computer, check a cab, and I go, around the Griggs, pick up this lady and 2 other women, her mother and her 2 sisters. They're artists. I put them in the bag and took them to the east side, $28. I didn't say nothing. Just looking at her, she's beautiful, her nail was done and all that. She looks like what's that? T-Bot, Left Eye. Left Eye,
Yep.
TLC. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So anyway, I held her hand and stuff, and I gave her my page.
You were holding her hand while you're giving her a ride?
Yeah, because
wow. What did she say? She was
talking
okay
to
with
her
that?
in the front seat, and her mother was back there, I was like, hey, you're beautiful,
She said, "Oh, you're gonna have to speak up because Marlene Holt says she can't hear the conversation."
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. He says he can't hear. Marlon says he can't hear the conversation.
When I gave her the ride, the $28, got my money. Mother and sisters, they got out, and she stayed in the front seat. I gave her my paging number, and 2 weeks later, she called me, and we never been separated.
Wow. So that was 1996.
96.
And she had kids too.
Yes, she did.
How many kids did she have?
4 kids.
Wow. And you took that on, man. That's love.
I'm still there today. With matter of fact, the oldest one's 33 and the youngest one's 29. And yes, I'm still.
Wow.
So,
Okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up. And she's not here yet.
No,
We're gonna do how about let's do a commercial and we'll come back.
I'm gonna give you my business card, so you can call me Deputy.
This is Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat running for the U.S. Senate. I want to share a story about who, more than anyone, taught me the importance of listening and accountability. It was President Barack Obama. I served in the White House on his national security staff. I got to see him in action, up close, and behind closed doors in the Oval Office. First, he was brilliant, and therefore demanded people really knew their stuff. It was President Obama who grilled me on issues and demanded accountability on what we said and did. That commitment to accountability is exactly the approach I use today, listening to our communities. It's why I've written an opportunity agenda with detailed plans to strengthen Black businesses, increase Black wealth, and provide real opportunities for our youth. Because, as President Obama taught me, you better say what you mean and mean what you say. So that's why I approve this message.
Neighborhood beautification. That's very important to Detroit. It's very important to block clubs, organizations, and people who live in the community. We got started with 2 lots and a vision of a treehouse center. Because if we can take these blighted lots, Detroit give us grants to be able to do something with them that the community wants, it's a plus because we're bringing our neighborhoods back to where we want them to be, where they should be, all because I live in Detroit.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
What's going All right, we
Oh,
are
back.
back here. We've got Kmack, who has been a veteran cab driver and now has a transportation business here. So what do you see as the future of the cab industry? Is there a future here for cabs?
Yeah, it is the future, but we have to get together. Just like Uber and Lyft had with the apps. When they had to put the apps out there, that was one thing. I had an app. It was called the Boom app. It only lasted 6 months because no one patronized my app but a few customers in the city.
Right.
But I needed other owners and drivers to join the app. But everybody selfish. So I kind of closed the app down.
Okay.
So, you know what? I want to make a comment. I didn't get a chance to make a comment when you were talking about the people that are drivers in ham traffic. They're paying $400. I look at it like this. They're the ones that's victims. They're just trying to make a living. There's no indictment on them. They're busy trying to make a living. So if they're presented with the opportunity to pay $400 as opposed to $5,000 a year, why wouldn't I take advantage of it? And a lot of people don't know the ins and outs. I mean, you sat here and you've educated us. Do you think that those people are paying that money knows all the things that you know? I gather that they don't. They're just trying to make a living.
Want to put a sign on your van and go down there and say taxi and pick up people and make you about $300-400 a day or a night or whatever. I mean, that's what they do. It's an everyday thing, 7 days a week.
And are you ever going to be a cab driver again, or are you going to stick to your personal?
They don't want me no more. Second cab blackballed me. After that accident in 14, they said I could never work for them again because I was a high risk.
Okay.
But they were at fault because they didn't have the proper insurance, so I ended up getting nothing. But that's why I became my own owner and started my own transportation stuff. Because I feel that people wanted guaranteed transportation. They wanted on-time transportation. They wanted somebody that was always working.
What's that cost me if from here to Metro Airport? What are you going to charge me?
The average fare from downtown to Metro Airport is $50.
$50. That's reasonable.
On the meter is $2.75 a mile, and that's $50.
That's reasonable.
Kmack, we
Not
thank
100.
you so much for
So
being on the
his
show.
book, you
want
want
you
to
to talk about
hold
your
up your
book,
book.
and
It's
then you can come
called
back another time.
Money Up Front.
Money Up Front is about Detroit's history from 1801 to 1926. I talk about the villages and townships and the dates and everything. And I also talk about my life as a cab driver in the city of Detroit.
And Money Up Front was from you want money up front when people.
Yes. When you got in, you had to pay me up front because we was not getting the ride.
Money up front.
Well, sound like lawyers.
Kmack, and if people want to get a hold
right.
of you, what's the name of the company that they can call you for?
Well, just go to Google and look up Kmack Transportation or Kmack GMC.
Kmack, all right. And I first met him when I think it was 2019. There was before the auto show began. They had a couple days for the media, and I was coming out, and I thought, do I get an Uber or do I? And I saw him, and I got in a cab, and him and I started talking, and we've known each other since. So
we did a ride through
we
the
did. We did a video. If you go on Deadline Detroit and pop in Kmack, we rode around town talking to him.
Kmack, what type of vehicle you got driving in now? What type of vehicle?
I got two of them. I got a 24 GMC Terrain and a 19.
Okay.
Wow, that's nice stuff.
We're going to take a brief break. Detroit in Black and White. We'll be back with our last guest.
Neighborhood beautification. That's very important to Detroit. It's very important to block clubs, organizations, and people who live in the community. We got started with 2 lots and a vision of a treehouse center. Because if we can take these blighted lots, Detroit give us grants to be able to do something with them that the community wants, it's a plus because we're bringing our neighborhoods back to where we want them to be, where they should be, all because I live in Detroit.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Acting Deputy Mayor.
Tabita Andrews.
Hi, we're back. Detroit in black and white. We have another guest, Miss Tabita Andrews. I know Tabita because she and I are part of the dancing community. And Tabita is doing great things in the community. She's well loved in the city of Detroit. And she's going to talk about her event, which is called Keep On Steppin' in the Motor City. Well, hey, Tabita.
Hey, Vanessa. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yes, yes.
So, could you tell us about Keep On Steppin' in the Motor City? Can you tell us about this event, how it got started, what motivated you to start this event, and when is this event going to take place?
Okay. I started this event approximately 6 years ago.
We need you to project so people can
Okay,
hear.
can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes. 6 years ago, I had a challenge. I was at a venue called the Tangerine Room, and I have a brother named Charles Love. He said, Tabita, I would like you to meet the owner. And so the owner asked me, how long does it take to do an event? And I told him I'd like to have at least 3 months in advance to know. He said, okay. He said, and what else? I said, I could do more than 160 days, 45 days, because I have a catering business. So it's no problem for me to put something together. So he said, oh, what you got going on next month? Which would have been October. And I said, I don't have anything on the book right now. He said, well, I'm going to give you 3 days. I said, 3 days? Oh, no. So I like challenges. So he gave me that, and I had a great event. Everybody came from Chicago, from Miami, California, Georgia. They came from all around.
Wow.
But I wanted to have a purpose for having a party. I didn't want it just to be a party, so I started with the breast cancer. I had just recently lost a friend the previous week from breast cancer. And that went from year to year to year of everyone saying, you're going to do it next year. And I'm like, no, yes, you are going to do it next year. So I had a gentleman that's in the dance community. He asked me, he said, well, what about us? I said, what do you mean? He said, Tabita, I am a prostrate survivor.
Wow.
I was like, oh, I didn't know. And my father, he passed with prostate. So then with my girlfriends, so many women that are close to me that are survivors. I've lost a few. The young lady that it really inspired me, her name is Michelle MacArthur. And she was one of the first Black women to have a boutique at Northland, the youngest. And I was supposed to watch the fights with her on a Friday night. And she asked me to come on over. I said, okay. I had prepared some food, but I fell asleep. Woke up, I said, Michelle, she sound like a guy. I said, what is wrong with your voice? She said, I said, Michelle. She said, I got a cold. I said, oh. Well, you need to go to the doctor. So she had moved to Atlanta. I said, she said, I'm going to wait till Monday. And when I go back, I said, you need to go now. Fell asleep, woke up, I missed the fight, and I missed my Michelle. She had went back, and she died that week. Wow. She was in the 4th stage of breast cancer.
Oh, wow. So let's talk about your event on October the 5th, 2024. Talk about what's happening. Yes.
This right here is our fight for breast cancer and prostate. It's going to be October the 5th at Insync Dance Studio. Yes. And we're getting these gloves to the survivors. Thank you. So we put the event on the glove. The doors open at 7. And we have a phenomenal singer by the name of Michonne Young. She's going to be entertaining us. There's going to be dinner. and there's going to be guest speakers. We have holistic doctors. We have people that are survivors that are telling their stories. And we want to encourage men and women. Don't wait too late. Men are scared, but they don't have to have an invasive procedure. They can do testing through blood now. Women, you can be tested, prior to getting this. We want to prevent it. So that's what my event is about, prevention, and also to acknowledge the survivors.
I just really want to say thank you because, as a Black man, right, and just as a man, period, it's the women that really make us go to the doctor. And so thank you for doing what you're doing. And then your event is inclusive. It got the brothers, it got the sisters, so you got everybody. So I just want to commend you for that.
Thank you. Yeah. I think it's important for people to know people like to party. We like to have fun. But the fact that to be the thought, listen, we're going to party, but we're going to party with a purpose. This is not just to be dancing, listening to someone sing just to sing. This is for a purpose. We're actually raising funds. She has several women that are helping her.
Oh, yes,
with
I got
event.
a team.
She has a team. Yeah.
Yeah, they stepped up.
This is at the
It's at a venue called
Insync
Dance Studio. It's on Outer Drive in Southfield Road.
Right.
So the ladies that participated in helping me with it before the pandemic, they stepped up again. So we stuff bags. We gather gifts for.
And do you have a Facebook page or anything?
I'm on Facebook,
Okay,
and my event is on there.
And people, so how do people find you? Where do they go to your
They could go to
personal?
my personal page. They could go to Vanessa's page. She's doing the advertisement. They could go right to Insync. I can give out my number so that you can contact me because we're still taking donations that will be going towards the survivors. My phone number is 313-443-0858.
And this is next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
And the time is
the doors open.
7 p.m.
Yes, the doors open at 7.
What's the dress code? And what type of dancing are we going to be doing?
Oh, we're going to be doing Chicago Steppin. We're going to be doing ballrooming. We're going to be doing line. We're going to do every dance that you want to do.
And are you catering?
Yes, I am.
And what do you make? What type of food are you specializing in?
I do all types of food. You get a chance to taste it when you come.
Okay, give our viewers some idea of what they can be looking forward
They
to.
can be looking forward to my fabulous green beans. Fresh green beans, not canned green beans.
Okay, good.
Okay. I do macaroni. They love my macaroni and cheese. They love my salmon. So those are the couple of things that I'll have. I don't want to give it all away, but those are the things that we're gonna have.
And how'd you learn to cook?
Well, I learned from my dad.
Okay.
Then my husband was a chef who passed away, and we started the catering business. And at that time, it was called LA Taste. Now it's called Gosh Tomatoes after my dad, because he would say Gosh Tomatoes, he would cuss. Instead of saying that S word, he would say Gosh Tomatoes. So we said, let's keep Dad in the program.
And how if people want to get catering from you, where do they?
Okay, I'm also at the Dearborn Ford Performing Arts. I'm one of the caterers there. And you can get in contact with me, the same number that I gave out, and I'd be happy to service any of your events.
Wow.
So one last thing, the event is $35. You can call that number. You can also, Teresa, put the card up. There's she's
got the number up there.
Yeah, she has the number, so you can Cash App
Or
Zelle if you're interested in coming to the event. You guys can always contact me. And Marlon, you know what? I believe in accountability. I am so sorry. Yes, I can read. I just read your statement. And guess what? I'm sorry I mispronounced your name. Thank you. Okay. All right, Tabita, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
The event is called Keep on Stepping in the Motor City. It's pink with a splash of blue. That means men and women. And we expect for you to come Steppin' sharp.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Steppin' sharp. Grown folk sharp. Okay?
Yes. Yes. All right.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. That's great. All right, do you want to do one quick commercial and then we'll come back?
Neighborhood beautification. That's very important to Detroit. It's very important to block clubs, organizations, and people who live in the community. We got started with 2 lots and a vision of a treehouse center. Because if we can take these blighted lots, Detroit give us grants to be able to do something with them that the community wants, it's a plus because we're bringing our neighborhoods back to where we want them to be, where they should be. All because I live in Detroit.
Okay.
Okay, we're back, Detroit in Black and White. We want to thank all of our viewers. We especially want to thank all the people who participate by making comments. We want to thank the deputy mayor, who is really a co-host. He is not really a guest. We want to thank him for coming. We especially want to thank Lady T. I call her Lady T, Teresa, who does the doggone thing. And we want to say thank you to all of our guests, Carl Marlinga, Kmack, and Tabita Andrews. We'll be back on Wednesday. October is Cancer Awareness Month. We're going to say Cancer Wellness Month.
That's right.
So this event is next Saturday, but we're going to have somebody on Wednesday to talk about cancer and how we can prevent it and how we can fight it. Thank you so much.
All right, and we got on Monday, we've got the big debate between the vice presidential candidates. Which should
Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday? Okay, I'm
Monday's
sorry.
Monday Night Football, Detroit Lions.
Yeah, that's what I mixed up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I mixed that up. Thanks for correcting me there, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and you know, and with the Tigers in, I mean, it's all gravy from here. Whether they win in the playoffs or not, the fact that they've made the playoffs is really miraculous.
And according to Kmack, it's good for the cab drivers. Okay.
Oh
all
my
right.
God! Yes, it is.
That's a fascinating. We should have another show on cab drivers.
We should.
And stuff.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
See y'all later.